Remember all those concerts on Roblox during the pandemic? I do not. I 100% missed the memo that this was a thing, but apparently everyone from Lil Nas to Elton John brought their talents to the virtual stage, creating an immersive experience for concert goers. Since then, concerts on Roblox have become a staple in the virtual event space. Now Roblox is experiencing similar success with an immersive marketing approach where brands and retailers can feature ads in the virtual Roblox experience. It's another proof point of the importance of meeting your audience where they already are. At the same time, there are so many marketing channels. How do you decide what to prioritize? It feels like marketers are expected to be everywhere these days. What are your thoughts on the amount of marketing channels and what marketers are experiencing today?
Okay, so this is my realm. It's exhausting because I feel like every day there's a new one that we need to be on. And I think gone are the days where you just have to be present. You actually have to be effective.
You have to show up.
You have to show up and you have to create really engaging content for the people who are there. And it's not the same for every channel.
Right.
So that's the hardest part, especially
right.
if you're a small team. So trying to maximize all of the channels. I mean, expectations have never been higher for consumers.
Yeah.
So marketing people have to be on their A game. They have to stay relevant, on the edge of trends. They have to keep up to date with everything that's going on. So I think Roblox is interesting because before this episode, I didn't even know what it was.
Yeah.
So.
I only know because I have a 13-year-old niece.
Okay.
For her birthday, she wants a Roblox gift card. That's it.
So from what I understand, they're spending money in this virtual world.
Yes.
They can go see concerts. They can buy things. So advertisers are actually making it feel like they can access their product within this virtual land. Correct? Okay.
Right.
Well, it's also like one of those things where I remember when Threads came out and our CMO messaged us and was like, are we on Threads? What's going on? We need to jump on this. So, and we didn't even know what it was at that time.
Right.
So you have to give people a chance to kind of catch up. And there's nothing like feeling like a boomer when like a new channel comes out and you're like, what is that?
Right.
What's going on?
And when Threads actually became a thing, there were so many brands. It's amazing the brands that don't have all the red tape and need legal approval to launch a new brand. They were like showing up. And I think that's important. Like there's this agile aspect of it. You want to show up in those moments when the trend is happening and not be like a late arrival to the party.
Yeah, you don't want to be late, but corporate red tape is definitely a challenge.
It's a thing.
It's nice when you're privately owned. You can kind of go to market a lot faster, but when you have stakeholders to appeal to, you can't just say anything and do anything.
Right, exactly.
And I think it's interesting because each channel has to have its own strategy and approach. It's not one size fits all. That's the hardest part about being a marketer, truly. And you have to be savvy with analytics and creative at the same time, which goes back into personalization and understanding your customer in real time, but actually being able to like measure the impact of what you're doing is so key. And you're almost expected to be this like creative genius, part data scientist, which I'm more of the creative side and the data side is a struggle for me. So
and I'm the data. I'm like, let's talk about the ROI of this.
I know. Have you seen those memes where it was like the creative marketer and the data marketer and how different they are? It's just harder than ever to like really connect the dots on these siloed channels. And I think this is an example of that where it requires trial and error.
Speaking of Roblox and the effectiveness, 75% of Roblox users say they are more likely to notice brands that advertised on Roblox versus elsewhere. Crazy. What do you think about that?
It doesn't surprise me because it is an immersive experience. It's almost like what I think of like virtual reality where you have blinders on and all you see is these things. So that doesn't surprise me at all because like I notice stuff on TikTok way more than I do like than a product placement, really, because I'm focused. I'm locked into what's in front of me. This brings me back to the time, and this might date us a little bit, but like back when Sims was popular, where you could like create like a virtual family and a virtual
Sims is still a thing.
Is it really?
I'm not a Sims girly, but
me neither.
It's still a thing.
Well, I definitely knew a lot of my friends were like living in this virtual world where they were like creating their own, I don't know, environments, and it just doesn't shock me at all. People really want to feel immersed in something new. And we talk a lot about experiences and how you have to create them for people to kind of remember what it is. So this is just that virtual version.
Right. Roblox was not on my bingo card for being an emerging marketing channel, but apparently Gen Z and Alpha, they love Roblox and are spending a lot of time each day on the platform. I read an article from Exclusible that had a headline of "Gaming is the new social." And it makes sense because gaming is offering this like a similar experience to social media. Like you're building community, you're building connections, while also offering this fun, engaging entertainment for Gen Z and for alphas who are serious about gaming, like changing the game. And listen to this stat. It was from Newzoo Global Gamer Study 2023. A staggering 57% of Gen Z and 59% of alphas report discovering new brands while immersed in gaming, which that's amazing for brands. I think one of my assumption is that there's not a lot of noise. So like you said, like you're like locked in and so you're discovering these new brands within the gaming arena. And they also said that 48% of Gen Z and 47% of Gen Alpha acknowledge making purchases based on recommendations from gaming.
Is it real money or fake money?
I think it's real money.
Okay. The stats were so high. I saw somewhere that like 2.5 hours a day at least on this channel. And you have a better chance of getting in front of your target audience in a more authentic way, it feels like. And you're not trying too hard. You're just kind of there. Right. That's like a no-brainer.
Right.
From a brand perspective.
Right.
So I'm not surprised, and I feel like they can't sleep on the gaming industry. I personally am not in that gaming world, but from a marketer perspective, like that would be enough to be like, all right, what do we need to do about this?
It's not just driving brand awareness, but it is driving brand preference. It's driving conversions. And at the end of the day, I mean, that's the payback. That's the ROI. And we want, you know, people to experience the brand, but then go on to buy it. And I think for as marketing leaders and business leaders, like you said, like you can't sleep on the gaming industry because it is driving consumer intent and purchase behavior. What we do at Bloomreach is we have marketing automation, we have a CDP. So if you're thinking about your customer segmentation and personalization, you should know customers who are more likely to be gamers versus customers who are not. Yeah. You can serve them a differentiated experience. If you know that they're a gamer, they play Roblox, they're in this experience, like maybe your experience looks different for them as opposed to someone who, you know, doesn't do Roblox, who didn't know about Roblox. Yeah.
Saw Nike, Hilton, Hugo, Walmart, Paramount, even the NHL, which is crazy. So they're kind of like adding that immersive advertising function on the platform, which I find interesting. Right. I know I'm a big fan of Nike and their marketing, so I'm not surprised that they kind of developed like a Nike land. And it's kind of a place where users can actually engage in sports-related activities and like get dressed in the brand outfits, and like their avatars are wearing Nike apparel. And we even talked about this the other day where Nike is seeing a super big influx. Yeah. Maybe because of the Olympics. Yeah. But if you can like kind of dress your avatar, like your avatar could look real cute in that Nike set. Right. And that might make you want to buy it. And if you could buy right off of the platform.
Like exactly.
Everything that you purchase virtually, like making it frictionless and adding it to your real cart could be, I don't know, game changer. Like my mind is kind of blown. That's just like very like, it's not just passive advertising, and it's an engaging experience where brands can like kind of place themselves in your mind. Yeah.
And I think for lifestyle brands in particular, this is like Roblox is perfect for them. Totally. And I was reading up on Roblox and just thinking about their mission. Roblox, their mission is Roblox lets you create, share experiences with friends and be anything you can imagine.
Oh, that's cute.
It's so inspirational, right? So like think about those lifestyle brands like Nike, Lululemon, Harley Davidson, Marriott, Delta, North Face. You want people to see themselves in your experience. And I think that's what Roblox unlocks. And I can also see how this drives brand preference and allows Roblox gamers to experience the brand virtually and eventually in reality after having a positive interaction on the app. And I'll be honest, I'm a data girly.
Yep.
Like I'm always like, what's the data driven decisions behind it? What's the ROI? So I'm just very curious to see what the ROI is of the efforts.
How it actually works. And it also too shows like marketing is that two-way conversation. It's not just like
right. People respond with their dollars.
100%. And this is a great way to feel like you're a part of their daily lives, and you're
Right.
not just telling them that they need to buy your
This is
product.
cool. Yeah, like you're
It
actually showing
feels
them.
really cool to like showcase in a really unique way. So I know that social is such a unique beast in general, but this is kind of an opportunity to combine like the social aspect with the community. And it's kind of opening that door for customers to actively participate in how they're
Right.
being marketed to. And a lot of stores are doing this as well, where you've got these immersive experiences and you kind of like have them walk into this space that like you created for them.
Right.
And just seeing all of these different channels combined. I mean, we talk about omni-channel strategies a lot, but
Right.
like making sure that they all kind of align in their own unique way,
Right.
I think is really key for brands.
Yeah. So I want to talk about how this meets the audience needs by providing these virtual goods to users by watching an ad or playing in their branded environment. Users are receiving value immediately. What are your thoughts there?
I think it's so important to meet the customers where they are. We talk about that a lot. And if your customers aren't there, don't be there. It's a waste of time and resources. But if they are, I think it's so important to really understand what channels make the most sense for you, and be as authentic as you can.
Yeah.
I think people can tell when it feels forced. So
there's also this there's no harm in trying. I mean,
Exactly.
technically, if like you have a little I actually think I saw the CMO at American Eagle, he talked about every marketer should have an experimental budget, because maybe your customers aren't there today, but maybe there's a untapped persona that you could go after. So
Totally.
there's no harm in trying and actually like testing and learning. We talked about this a lot to like marketers and merchandising, testing and learning your approach to see what's most effective.
That's key. Well, also we're trying something new too on our side, where we've tapped into Reddit, which is kind of random
Yeah.
and feels
I
like
actually saw a study that Reddit is where people are starting their like
search.
their search, their product discovery. They're looking for like reviews, and Reddit is like, you're going to get the real, like people don't hold back on Reddit.
No, and I think that it's cool because, and I love that you said the experimental budget, because you just never know until you try.
Right.
And
exactly.
that plus Pinterest is also a good one.
Yeah.
TikTok too is interesting. I think brands who aren't consumer or maybe product facing are trying to dip their toe into it. Like service-based businesses, I think, are trying to tap in the consumer good. I mean, it's so easy to make that sale or make that connection. So I think B2B or service-based businesses are trying these new channels because it's not so direct.
Yeah.
It's more thought leadership. It's more brand awareness. It's more mind share than market share.
Yeah.
And I think that that's really important for brands to understand. Like, you could be on these channels, but it's not about making sales at the end of the day. I don't envision Bloomreach being in Roblox, but from our marketing team to trying out these testing these channels, it's like we're finding that the meme content does so much better than the actual informative content, which
people
is
want to be entertained.
Yeah, we're just regular people scrolling these channels.
Yeah.
And I'm speaking about social media because that's mainly what I manage at Bloomreach, but I just find it interesting that the big brands are kind of playing in the sandbox of the virtual world, and I'm very curious to see how it unravels.
Yeah. Sometimes we forget, sometimes brands and business leaders forget that real people are buying.
Consuming.
Like, real people are in procurement. I have a friend in procurement. I'm like, why are you guys so difficult? But this is a real person at the end of the day, and we're consumers. We see these things out in the wild, and it is driving our like behaviors and how we perceive certain brands. And you want to be top of mind at the end of the day. If your ad doesn't convert or your content doesn't do well, but like, if one viewer saw that and they kept that in mind and then eventually went on to experience your brand, to reach out to the team when they were in an RFP or something, that's good. That's a win. But it's kind of this long play. It's not this instant gratification of, people need to see this ad, they need to buy immediately. Now they will, because there are some people like that are driven by that, but thinking about the different types of business like B2B versus like retail versus others, that purchase behavior or that conversion behavior, it might take a little bit more time, and that's okay.
Well, I try to explain to people too. People are always like, I need to be on social media because I need more brand awareness and I want to drive sales. And I'm like, social media is not your main sales channel. That is top of funnel. That is mind share, not necessarily market share. And I did see the stat, and Sweetfish, you'll be happy about this, but I think your founder mentioned that 97% of customers or people on social media are not ready to buy. 97%. 3%. And like, you're lucky if you catch them at the right time in the right place with the right message. That's where personalization comes in. But at the end of the day, that 97%, like, you never know when you're going to catch them. So that's why you have to be on all channels. I mean, the amount of marketing messages we see every day, what makes you stand out? What's going to stop the scroll?
There has to be, you have to give the new strategy time to play out. Like on a website, the best conversion, especially from like a B2C perspective, is 2 to 3%. So that's saying that like of every 100 customers that visit your site, only 2 to 3% of those is actually going to convert. And that is considered good. Think about all those people like that you didn't convert in their shopping behavior. It's similar to like marketing. You have to give it time to play out in order to, test for effectiveness. I also think things get, I used to work for a catalog company, and I did e-commerce, but catalog was the marketing vehicle. And people are like, catalogs are dead. Like, you shouldn't be doing a catalog. But you will notice that, like, if we didn't launch the catalog at the same time as we did the previous year, we saw sales would dip as a reflect to that. And when the catalog went in homes, you'd see this influx of orders come through the website, because the catalog was the marketing vehicle.
That's so wild.
To drive preference, to drive like behavior, to drive awareness of like these experience, like the new product launches and things like that. And so, I mean, with any new marketing channel, you just got to give it time to play out.
I think the next step is to get them to your own channels and sign up for your newsletter, sign up for text messages, because then you're baked in. You're not just a passive advertiser, you are baked into their day-to-day. And I think the promotional emails, we're seeing that there's 61% of users actually like to receive promotional emails from brands that they've signed up for at least once a week. Are you surprised by that stat?
Not surprised, since I'm like in this world. I do feel like as marketers, we're like, how many emails is too many emails? But
the question of all.
But when you don't get an email, I've actually seen some brands that I interact with, they've cut back on marketing emails because everything's in the app. They're driving you to the app. But they want you to sign up for like other programs. And if they don't see the email and you're accustomed to it, your natural behavior as a customer is to be like, what's happening with this brand? So like, maybe you'll go check. I mean, it's risky move, because you want to be top of mind. There's so much noise. There's so much friction. You're being marketed to every day. But email marketing is so effective. I mean, I see this from working with our customers, and how, just being strategic in the way that they market, and like, when are you sending? What type of emails are you sending? How are you segmenting the customer? Like, that strategy it's so important.
I think it's really important to understand where each demographic is most active. So TikTok has become this huge platform, and YouTube actually. I think I saw a stat that said 71% of millennials use Instagram, while Facebook remains the dominant platform for boomers. And 70% of U.S. adults ages 50 to 64 use it regularly. And I wanted to make sure I got that stat right. So it's like Facebook has the boomers, Instagram has the millennials, and Gen Z or YouTube, and oh my gosh. Gen Z and Gen Alpha are TikTok and YouTube. So I think if a channel isn't performing as expected, the first step is to really look at the data and understand why it's not working, or figure out what is and what's not. And then from there, you adjust your strategy. So whether it's tweaking your content or refining the audience targeting. And if it still underperforms, we might need to shift our resources, fail fast. I think that's the key here. and not spending too long in a place where it just doesn't make sense for you guys.
Yeah.
A lot of the brands too, like you just don't need to be on TikTok.
Right. You don't need to be on every channel.
Exactly.
If it doesn't meet, and I think that's also goes back to understanding your persona and your core customer and demographic, you might not need to show up in some spaces.
Right.
And I think also just analyzing the competitive landscape is so important, but not just people in your industry, also looking at aspiring brands, like brands that you would love to look like, or like brands that maybe outside of your core demographic, but they're doing it very well, because sometimes you need a tweak to your strategy.
Totally.
So for example, like we were just talking about TikTok, how the videos, like short form, at first TikTok was like short form videos, quick. Then they went to long form videos.
Yeah.
Now you can post like images and, carousels. And so just also like staying on top, like we talk about like all the different marketing channels. As marketers, you also have to stay on top of what the trend is and be agile to move with the new trends.
The hardest part about being a marketer is like I'm scrolling, not for entertainment sometimes, I'm scrolling to get inspo.
Right.
And I want to see what the B2B companies are doing. I want to see what the B2C companies are doing, what the retail brands are doing, to see if there's anything I can take away from that. And that's where I think the magic happens, is like when you can bridge the gap or be creative by just seeing a little sound here, or finding a way to make it interactive, or finding a way to appeal or entertain in a fun way. I think video is just the easiest way to do that. Like I will die on that hill, but ultimately
I do too.
Every channel is trying to leverage video. And I think all of them are, I mean, did you see LinkedIn is coming out with like a Reels, like vertical, like scrolling
Somehow
section.
I'm in the beta for that. So I'm already seeing, I know.
I love that. Like, that's amazing. I want to like get a sneak peek, because I'm very curious to see how that will perform from a social media manager perspective.
I agree. So one of the big takeaways I see for brands and marketers is to be inspired by others, maybe outside of you. I actually working with customers, I see this a lot. They're like, we don't want to look at let's say like healthcare or like retail, because we're in that vertical. We know what's happening. What's everyone else doing that we can then, maybe adapt or look at our strategy to see how we might optimize.
And to recap, understanding your audience and where they're at, looking at the data and seeing what works best. And if it's not working, fail fast, keep it pushing. But also like create content intentionally for the platform itself. So when you're going on Roblox, make it that immersive experience that they're looking for. When you're going on TikTok, make it a fun, quick, quippy video that they can gravitate towards or share. Like that's the biggest thing, is like nothing says they loved your content more than a share. And then on Instagram, like, is it a vibe? Is it like aesthetic? Is it something that you would want to repost or wear or purchase? Give it a lifestyle of its own. So those are just a couple examples, but finding what works best for you.
And don't be afraid to experiment. Have that little experimental budget set aside.
Keep an experimental budget, yes.
Know that, like you said, fail fast. Know that it might fail, but you learn. I don't think anything is truly a failure. You either learn or you know.
Nothing's a loss. It's always a lesson.
It's always a lesson.
Always. I love that.
Well, this was a great discussion. If you enjoyed this conversation around all the new marketing channels, let us know on LinkedIn. And to be in the know on everything happening in e-commerce and AI, subscribe to our Edge newsletter. Until next time, bye.
Bye.